Just my opinion. This is just my opinion. This is just my opinion. Hello and welcome to another episode of This Is Just My Opinion. This week, I will be giving my opinion on another rock band. Another band from the new wave of British heavy metal originally, another British rock band, rock institution maybe, I don't know. This week I am talking about Iron Maiden. Now, I am not a huge Iron Maiden fan. There are some tracks by them that I really quite like. A few of their earlier songs, especially Remember Tomorrow, which I think is possibly the best track they've ever done. I quite like some of the stuff that they did around the sort of times they did Run to the Hills and Number of the Beast and that sort of thing. Some of that was quite good. But other than that, most of their stuff is kind of like samey and not great and boring and a bit. The Trooper wasn't bad, but they came out of the new wave of British heavy metal, and as somebody who was around at the time, I can honestly say they weren't the best band around then. They were nowhere near as good as some others. I mean, there were other bands around that I thought personally were much better. Bands like Praying Mantis, I thought were fantastic, and they never got anywhere near as high as Iron Maiden. And I think part of that was because they were lucky to have the push of people like Neil Kay at the Heavy Metal Soundhouse and journalists behind them, and the management that they had eventually, but also because of the fact that they somehow managed to get their stuff on airplay, and they somehow managed to get their picture and their name in all the articles, and so they became synonymous with the new wave of British heavy metal. Everybody knew who they were, even if they hadn't heard their songs and their material. But to be honest, they were nowhere near the best band around at the time. I think they were just lucky. And what amazes me is quite how they've managed to last so long and keep going so long, based on that initial thing of luck, because a lot of the stuff they've done is all very samey. It's all very kind of the same old, and I mean, I don't listen to them anymore. If I do, it's sort of old stuff again, that I listen to, and that's not necessarily through choice. I don't go out of my way to listen to Iron Maiden, and I really don't understand why they became so huge, and so many other bands were just kind of dropped by the wayside. It was almost like as soon as Iron Maiden made it, everybody wanted to have it. It's the same that happens all the time whenever there's a new movement in music. As soon as Iron Maiden made it, everybody wanted to sign a new wave of British heavy metal band, and lots of them got signed and they put out albums, and then they just kind of fell away. The record companies didn't bother pushing them, but Iron Maiden, their management and their record companies pushed and pushed until in the end it got to a point where, to a large extent, Iron Maiden were the only new wave of British heavy metal band that was still playing that type of music, because bands like Def Leppard and a couple of the others kind of changed to become much more Americanized. But Maiden were the only ones who were still playing the type of music that they started out playing. But they were the only ones left, because all the others had kind of lost their record deals and fallen apart, or, you know, the band had split and things like that. And I really don't understand why that is, because so many of them were so good, and they could have made it, I think, if there had been more push from the media and from other places. And it kind of saddens me a bit that Maiden got all of that backing and all of that push, and the others didn't. Yeah, I don't know. People might say that I'm a bit jealous and that I'm, you know, maybe I am, but to be honest, I would still prefer to listen to Praying Mantis than Iron Maiden. I don't know. I don't understand why they were the band, if you like, that got picked up. Now, every other wave, as far as like heavy metal stuff goes, there were more than one band that kind of got through. I mean, you look at the fact that the initial kind of first wave, if you like, of heavy metal, you had bands like Black Sabbath and Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin to an extent, but there were a couple of others as well that kind of kept going and did really well. And then you had the second wave where you had bands like Judas Priest and UFO and you know, they really did well, and there was a few of those that they carried on going and kept going, and they're still going. But for some reason, it was, you know, like Iron Maiden were the ones that made it, and I really don't understand why they were the only ones that made it. I would suggest if you like, you know, Iron Maiden, then good on you. I mean, I you know, my opinion on them, music wise, is that I think that there were a lot of other bands around at the same time that were much better, and now they are a bit boring and they've kind of gone past their sell by date. My opinion of them as people went down quite a lot when I found out about the fact that they were taking Paul Gascoigne, who was desperately in a bad way and needed to go to rehab and to have people looking at his mental health. They took him on a bender, basically, with the band on their private jet, and I don't think that was a good idea at all. But you know, that's by the by. Musically, I just say I think they've had their day, and I think that they're kind of a bit past it now. Not necessarily because they're old, because, you know, there are bands that are older than them, have been playing longer than them. I just think that their music is old and tired, and it just hasn't evolved enough. When they tried to evolve it at one point, it kind of like they did it for one album, and then went back to the same old, and I think it's sad, really. And I'd like to hear something different, either from them or, you know, some different bands playing different sort of style of stuff, like Praying Mantis and that, who were a bit more melodic and a bit more, not necessarily as chunga horse racing around the fields, baselines. That's just me. So if you have a different opinion, then please let me know, and I will see you again next time. Thank you very much. This is just my opinion. This is just my opinion. This is just my opinion.